Bush cancelled the space shuttle in order to free up the money to do something else. Then people realised that the only way to get astronauts to the space station and resupply it was using Russian spacecraft, and that was putting all their eggs in one basket. So they really had to get on very quickly with the ATV program, and this is the third launch in a 5-vehicle schedule, and they haven't decided what to do after that.
And how soon will it reach the space station? Because it's quite clever, isn't it? It navigates its own way there, doesn't it?
Yes, in fact, it's got a Russian rendezvous system and docking system, which is tried and tested and works very well. So that was a collaboration between ESA and Russia, the European Space Agency and Russia. It takes a couple of days, actually. The thing is on its own autopilot, and when it's launched, it launches into a low orbit, and it raises into orbit very slowly. And actually, there's quite a choreography, there's quite a dance between the space station and the ATV when they come close to each other and dock, and it happens sometime in the next couple of days.
And then, as you say, having arrived as a big shopping trolley, it departs as a wheelie bin. They basically fill it with all the rubbish, and then it's designed to burn up over the southern Pacific.
That's right. They bag everything up. It's a shame, really, because one of the problems with the space station these days is actually bringing things down. You can send a lot of things up there, but the results of scientific experiments and results of lots of things, and there's very little space to come down, even though there's a lot of space to go up. So although it's good to get rid of the trash, there are a lot of people thinking, I wish we could have somehow got it back in one piece. But the ATV is a wheelie bin and a mobile shop.
Meant to be. David Whitehouse, he's a space expert. Thanks for joining us.
22 minutes past 4. We're joined now with the doyen of BBC Scotland's political coverage, Isabel Fraser, who, as you know, is the host of Sunday Politics Scotland. What's on the agenda? You're puzzled by that description, aren't you?
No, I don't think there's a man, really.
That was kind of what I was driving at.
I'm the only one, really.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was hinting at,
Yeah, but thanks.
But you're good.
I know you meant it kindly. I know it was said with love. Sunday Politics Scotland, you're talking about the Scottish Tory Conference now underway. We're talking to the Home Secretary, Theresa May, after the minimum pricing of alcohol announcement. So, as we know, the Scottish Government was out ahead on this. So how does what is now being planned in Westminster compare and contrast with what is going to happen in Scotland? And also, we now have control over drink driving laws in Scotland. So what should the government do with that? Should there be a new drink drive limit? We're on at 12:30 on BBC One. And, of course, we lose an hour this weekend. You'd forgotten, hadn't you? It is this weekend.
It is this weekend.
It's a plot.
You've done it now,
The producer to get me in early, obviously. No, it is this weekend. But 12:30, BBC One, a condensed one for half an hour.
Okay, we'll look forward to it, Isabel Fraser. Thank you.
Time to take a look at the evening papers. The Dundee Telegraph has a picture made on their front page. It says 6 hurt in fireball smash. It says that firefighters say casualties are very lucky to be alive after their car burst into flames in a head-on crash which happened near Ammanbank near Perth last night. And they say a number of five teenagers and another man in the other car were taken to hospital, and as they say it was amazing that they were badly injured in it.
In Edinburgh, the Evening News reports that the Spanish renewables giant Gamesa has announced its new UK plant is to be sited at the Port of Leith, a story we've been covering all day here on BBC Radio Scotland. The paper says First Minister Alex Salmond, who was told of the decision by phone this morning by Gamesa's global chairman, has described the news as a welcome boost, bringing hundreds of quality jobs to Scotland's capital. Of course, we'll bring you more on that story here on Newsdrive.
And the Evening Times in Glasgow reports the story. We've also been reporting as more details on the 76-year-old woman who was attacked in her own home. Mary Coulter, who's the mother and grandmother of 2 suspects in the murder of Asian waiter Surjit Singh Choker, was attacked by 4 men. We'll be bringing you more about that in the programme. They give more detail. They say that she's actually undergoing facial surgery after that attack.
The Greenock Telegraph, the front page headline there, man jailed for sword attack. There's a picture at the top of the front page under the headline, TV school takes shape. They're talking, of course, Waterloo Road, the BBC drama programme, which is moving to Scotland. The paper tells us that the famous maroon colour and silver letters of the fictional BBC school have appeared in place of the old clock on Greenock Academy.
I'm going to have a look at that next to
Are you?
us.
It's
Tell me
good to
what
see
it's
you going
like.
to Scotland, yeah.
And the Evening Express reports on its front page, Northeast pilots on Olympics terror alert. It says that remote airstrips in the Northeast have been put on terror alert ahead of the Olympic Games. It says a string of private airfields across Grumbian will be put through their paces as part of that national initiative to protect UK airspace against terror attacks, particularly during the summer games period. That's how the papers look.
Indeed it is this evening. Now, when a recession arrives, one of the inevitable results is a brain drain. It's happened more than once in Ireland, and it's happening now in Portugal. At a time of deepening austerity and with a general strike underway this week, the Prime Minister has come under fire for suggesting that young people look for work abroad. But many already are, and they're looking in places like Brazil, Angola and Mozambique, former Portuguese colonies where they're instantly at home with the language. Andrew Harding went to meet some recent arrivals in Mozambique.
Tropical beaches, grilled prawns, great coffee. Oh yes, and an economy growing by almost 8% a year. Who wouldn't be tempted by Mozambique?
Weather is good, it's a good country, good people.
It's lunchtime in Maputo. The tables at this cafe are packed with young Portuguese tucking into bowls of clouds. But they're not holiday makers, they're job seekers.
It's possible to see that the economy is growing, people are coming, every week new companies arriving.
The ironies are obvious. 40 years ago, Portugal was the colonial power here. After independence, Mozambique was virtually destroyed by decades of civil war. It was much the same with nearby Angola. But now, both countries are booming, their economies fueled by the global demand for Africa's mineral wealth. And suddenly, thousands of struggling Europeans are turning up to knock on doors.
Well, it's great to be here.
Are you escaping from Portugal?
A little bit, yes.
After almost 2 years on the dole in Portugal, 32-year-old Marcio Charata has just landed a position as financial director of a Mozambican media company.
It's a safe gamble to come here to work. Each day Mozambique is growing. Each day is the opposite of Portugal. Here we can have a new life.
Good life?
And a good life, yeah. It's quite ironic for Portuguese people came here, but I think that is the mentality is very, very different. We are not here to conquest a country. We are here to help a country and, of course, to benefit with that.
Back home, Portugal's debt-ridden government is actively encouraging this exodus of highly skilled workers, to the consternation of left-wing politicians like the MEP Ana Maria Gomes.
Now Portugal, because of the crisis, is back into exporting people again and exporting the best, the ones that we need, our scientists, our teachers, our engineers, some of the best, the brightest, the most educated that Portugal and Europe so much needs.
And Mozambique has its own headaches. The poor taking to the streets here recently to protest against rising prices. With the Chinese, the Brazilians, and now the Europeans queuing up to do business, local entrepreneur Carlos Lutula worries about the recolonialization of his country.
How can you bring someone from Portugal to do the accounts of your company? We have qualified accountants here. Even people with PhD degrees, because we've got good universities here. So they graduate people, but those people, when they go to these companies, they don't get jobs.
So the Portuguese are stealing your jobs?
In part, yeah.
Much will depend on how African governments manage these boom years, whether they can spread the wealth widely enough. Daniel David is chair of the Mozambique-Portugal Chamber of Commerce.
It's a learning process. The two countries come up and down. Then what can we learn of this situation of Europe? What can we do that in future does not happen with us? We must look as a positive way for our country to shortcut